Hey everybody, this is Nick with Rogue Overland, and in this video we're excited to give you our feedback after taking this 2022 Nissan Frontier Pro4X out on an overland trip for 4 days. The first thing we'd like to do is say thank you to Nissan for giving us the opportunity to test out this Frontier. So what happened is we got the Frontier, took it right over to Cascadia vehicle tents, threw a Rhino rack, bed rack system in it, put a CVT tent on the top, and took it out on our 2022 Rogue Overland Winter Expedition. And we were able to use this vehicle as the photo and video vehicle for that trip. So what we're going to do on this review that might be a little different is we're not going to go over all the major specs. You can go look that up. You want to go look up price, you can look that up. But we're going to talk about some of the key features that we liked and that we disliked after living out of this thing for 4 days. So one of the first things I would like to talk about is the drivetrain. So some of the other mid-size vehicles in this class, mid-size trucks, have issues with the searching for gears, right? The hunting for gears the whole time, the matchup of the power of the engine to the matchup of the transmission. And I'm very excited to say that in this vehicle, they nailed it. So the engine that they have matched up to the 9-speed transmission always seems to be in the gear that it needs to be in. There's plenty of power to get it done on the highway, both accelerating on the on-ramp up to interstate speed, and also any power that you might need off-road. Additionally, what we like and we've always liked about the Nissan trucks is that fully boxed frame. So it's not a C-channel frame, it's a fully boxed frame, so it's nice and robust when you're going to be off-roading or when you're going to have this thing loaded up, maybe you're towing a trailer. That box frame just gives you that more rigidity. And what's nice about what they've done with the suspension is even though it is a boxed frame, it does ride quite nice on the highway, around town, and then also on those off-road trails. So we were able to take it on some really rugged, kind of fire road style trails out in Arizona. And it handled that quite well, had a very comfortable ride. And then also with some of the more rock crawly type climbs that we had to take it on, the suspension handled that as well. Now during the time that we had the vehicle, we put 1,700 miles on it, and about 40% of those miles were dirt miles, and the rest of the miles were a combination of city driving and then just interstate, just logging miles down the road to get somewhere. And our average for the time that we had the vehicle was just a little over 19 miles per gallon. So not too bad for what it is. And it was loaded down with the gear for 2 people, camera gear, raffle prizes, things like that. So I consider that pretty good, all things considered. Now this is the Pro4X model, and the Pro4X model is the off-road model. So the big thing that you're getting with that most of us off-road enthusiasts are going to appreciate is you're getting that rear locker. It does have the Bilstein suspension on it, and there are some skid plates as well. And I commented a little bit earlier about how that suspension did. Yeah, the rear locker is the big thing that you're getting with the Pro4X that most of us in the off-road community are going to appreciate. Now we did have one opportunity where we were needed to use the locker, and it was really nice because the engagement was smooth. Sometimes with the OEM electronic lockers, you got to kind of play with it to get it to decide if it's going to lock and unlock, you know, turn the car to the left, turn the car to the right, push the button, turn the key on and off. We've all been there if you've been in the off-road community. This was a very nice user interface with that. Hit the button, it went into the lock mode. We climbed up what we were trying to get up, hit the button again, and it came out. So that was nice. It is a true off-road transfer case. So you have a 4 high and a 4 low selection. And for the stock configuration, the 4 low selection did do quite well. We were out in the Kofa Wildlife Refuge for a while during this trip. A lot of loose downhills and then some rugged uphills, and that 4 low was able to slow the vehicle down on the descents and also do well with the climbs. Now additionally, there are recovery points on this model, and we did have an opportunity in the Glamis Dunes to use those. We had some vehicles that were stuck in the dunes, so we were able to use the bubba rope and just yank them out. And it was nice having those recovery points right there. You can get to it, mount up the rope, and do your recovery, not having to figure out how to get under a plastic bumper or hook to a lower control arm or something. So those recovery points did come in quite handy. Now, this is a 2022 vehicle, and anybody who's wheeled newer vehicles knows that there's a lot more electronics involved in off-roading these days. This does have the hill descent option. We didn't use it. We just used the 4 low on the descents that we did and let the gears do the work. And on the climbs, I will say it was nice because the electronics are there and you can tell the electronics are doing what they're designed to do, but they weren't overly intrusive. So if you come from an off-roading background where you've wheeled some older vehicles that have no electronic assistance, then it'll be refreshing to you to not have the electronics be overwhelming. But they are there, just like they are with every new vehicle that's out right now. But they weren't overwhelming, so that was great. The last thing as far as the off-roading goes, I would like to comment on the tires. So these have the Hankook Dana Pro AT2 tires, and they are a milder all-terrain tire, but they held up really well. And the main concern that we had for these tires was we were doing a lot of rugged terrain in Arizona, sharp rocks, and we were concerned about the sidewalls. But the tires held up well. We didn't have a single failure. The traction was solid for the type of tire it is. The traction was solid on the rugged uphill climbs. And so all in all, for what you're getting from the factory, the tires did just fine. Next, I'd like to comment on the bed. So the bed has a spray liner in it, and it has a nice textured surface. So we had a lot of gear in the bed of the truck during this trip and never had any issues with stuff sliding around. Additionally, the Utilitrack system around the edges worked great. For where we were going, we had to carry extra fuel, and we were able to use a perfect bungee and just attach it to the Utilitrack system and just secure that jerry can of extra fuel. And so that's a very nice feature. It's very versatile. And then lastly is across the top. The plastic across the top has a more rubberized feel to it. So it's not a hard plastic that's super slick. It's a more rubberized feel to it. So it's just a little bit better for traction if you're walking up on the top of the bed. For example, like when we're putting the rooftop tent away. Just want to make a quick comment on the styling. It's going along that more aggressive look that a lot of the vehicles are moving to these days. And I think they did, all in all, a nice job with it. It's a good looking vehicle. You know, the joke is out there, and we get it a lot with the, well, it looks like a Tacoma. Well, you know, all the vehicles in any class look very similar to the other vehicles in that class because everybody goes with the trends for the most part. So the style is a lot more aggressive these days, and they did a nice job with it. We have this beautiful green color, and then we have, of course, the red accents, and it's just, all in all, it's a good looking truck for a vehicle that you're getting right from the dealership. One thing I should comment on as far as the off-road technology goes is the 360-degree camera layout. So on that center dash, that display, you're actually able to get several different camera views. You can get the view coming off of the side view mirror looking down at the tire. in a sense, a digital spotter to help you look and see where your tire placement's going. You also have sort of a from the sky or drone type view of the 360 degrees around the vehicle. So again, when you're backing up in camp, you're able to see, you know, did somebody throw an ice chest there, or is a kid running across there? The same when you're trying to get over and around obstacles, you can get an idea of how close you actually are to any of those obstacles. So that technology is a really nice technology to help keep you safe, keep the people around you safe, and minimize the potential for damaging your vehicle.
Let's take a moment to talk about the interior of the vehicle. They did a really nice job with the contact surfaces of this vehicle. There's some areas where there's some hard plastics, but everywhere where you're having a lot of contact, the steering wheel, the armrest, center console, the seats, they're all very nice, soft materials. And also that nice surface, it's not a cloth surface, so nice and easy to clean up as far as dust and mud and stuff like that if you've been off-roading. Additionally, the seats are heated and they get hot, and they get hot quick. So I actually found myself using the low setting a lot more than the high setting. And then same with that heated steering wheel, it gets the steering wheel nice and warm. So we had several days where we were starting early morning and cold out, you know, high 30s. And so really nice to be able to just pop that heated steering wheel on and keep the hands warm when you're first hitting the trail in the morning. Additionally, the screen is nice and big, lots of information on there. And then the red accents are a really nice touch. I wasn't sure how I was gonna like it with the green color of the paint, but the red accent is the red accenting on the gauge cluster and over the emblems it's a really nice touch. I ended up liking that quite a bit. And two things I'll comment on compared to some of my experiences in some of the other mid-size trucks is one, the moonroof is in this model, and there actually is plenty of headroom. If you've been in some of the other ones, specifically the Tacoma, if you have the moonroof, then there is no headroom whatsoever, and that's a well-known issue. With this one, lots of headroom, even with the moonroof. And then the other thing is, it's very quiet on the inside. So cruising down the highway, 75 miles an hour, cruising down a forest road, the interior is actually quite quiet, and we found it where we were able to have conversations without a lot of that background noise and it just being super loud inside. Additionally, there's a lot of updated tech in this vehicle, which is quite nice. Obviously, the old generation was around for quite a while, so with this third generation, they brought a lot of tech into it. And some of the things that I really appreciated was all the charging options. You have the USB, USB-C. You have your AC plug as well. 2 cigarette outlets for your direct current. So it's really nice to have the ability to charge phones and charge navigation tablet, charge drone batteries, things like that, and have plenty of options as far as your charging ports to take care of that. So that was quite nice. The lane departure warning is really cool. As you drift out of your lane, the steering wheel will vibrate, so a little safety option there. And then it has also the automatic braking, which is pretty cool. As you're coming up to a vehicle in front of you, if it doesn't sense that you're braking in time, it will actually start to slow the vehicle. And I tried that out with the cruise control, actually, just kind of course watching to be safe, but just letting it kind of come up to an oncoming vehicle in the same lane, so the rear of another vehicle, and it slowed down. And yeah, so quite a nice safety feature there. And then of course it has the blind spot monitoring, which pretty much everything has now. And then it has that Fender audio system, So that's really, it's nice. You know, if sound system is your thing and you want a nice factory sound system, it's a nice option there as well.
As you know, if you've watched any of our other review videos, we give you our experience, both the things we liked and disliked. And that information comes from a deep background in the outdoor community. Between all of us involved in Rogue Overland, we have many, many years of off-roading experience, camping experience, and just general outdoor adventure experience. So there are a few things that we disliked, or I should say, we feel could be improved upon on this vehicle. The first and the major one is, for it being the off-road version, the rake of the truck makes the front just a little too low. So we were out, we were taking a lot of dirt roads that had, you know, rocks pushed off to the side and rocks in the middle and rutted out. And it was a lot of work to avoid catching the lower control arm and the front skid plate when the ruts were deep and the middle of the road was high and piled with loose rock. Okay, so it's not that the truck couldn't get anywhere that we wanted to take it, but it could be a little bit higher from the factory. Secondly, with that aggressive styling that they've moved to, the hood just feels very big when you're in that driver's seat. So it makes it difficult, unless you're really paying attention and looking ahead. Sometimes it makes it difficult to remember the obstacles as they're coming in front of you. And it's hard to see because the hood is kind of pushed out in that bold styling fashion. When you're coming up over a crest, and with all vehicles, if the crest is high enough, it's hard to see what's over the other side. But with this, with that hood pushed out, it's hard to see what's over the top. Now again, they have that technology with the cameras to help you with that, but that's just something that comes with this type of styling. I experienced it in the Tacoma that we had as well. It's just, as you push that hood out, it's hard to see over sometimes and catch the obstacles as they're coming up, unless you're paying attention well ahead. So there you go. That's our experience after having this vehicle on the Rogue Overland Expedition 2022 for 4 days. Now, something I would like to comment on. This vehicle, straight off the showroom floor, will get the average explorer anywhere they want to go. And the person that's going to push this vehicle to its limits is going to likely modify it with a company like Niztec Lifts anyway, and get a suspension on there and bigger tires, which is going to take care of that low front end that we talked about as a potential improvement point. So this vehicle should definitely be on your list of options if you're considering a mid-size, off-road capable truck. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you do, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, find us on all social media avenues at Rogue Overland, and we'll see you on the trail.